Hey everybody, Nick Espinosa, your chief security fanatic here, and today we are talking about any one of these streaming services you have in your life, Netflix, Hulu, you name it, because they aren't maintaining your privacy in the way that you think they are. This is coming from the New York Times, and this should be shocking to everybody because we all pay for streaming services. In this house, we have something like half a dozen at least, and this is really terrifying. And so sometimes when you pay for the product, you are also the product itself. That kind of flies in the face of if it's free to you, you're the product, which we already know happens. Thank you, Facebook, Google, etc. But sometimes you're paying for it and you are the product. Now, here's what's going on. Common Sense Media, which is a nonprofit advocacy group for children and families, published a report this week that found that most of America's popular streaming services and TV streaming gadgets like Netflix, Roku, and Disney Plus failed to meet the group's minimum requirements for privacy and security. Now, the lone exception, they said, was Apple, but not so fast, Apple fans. We're going to get to you soon. Now, what's surprising from the group's report is that the streaming entertainment products for which people pay essentially for have some data habits that are similar to things like Facebook and Google that make their money basically selling your data for advertising dollars. The organization said that streaming companies could be doing more to keep themselves, or rather to keep the data to themselves that they are collecting from all of us and essentially make exceptions in their information practices to better protect children and offer more assurances that people's data won't be used to basically hit you with advertisements all over the internet or get fed basically to data middlemen and data brokers and all of that, which is essentially what is happening now. Researchers have previously analyzed what data habits the data habits of some streaming products in the past, but Common Sense Media did something that was actually rather comprehensive. It examined the privacy policies of 10 online video services like HBO Max, 5 streaming devices, including Roku, Amazon's Fire TV, and more. The organization also set up computer systems to follow where the digital information was going after it left the streaming app or the device itself, meaning they put something downwind of it that was probably running something like a packet capture to see where this information was going. Now, Common Sense Media found that most of the companies in its analysis could use information about what people do on their services to tailor ads to customers all over the internet, not just on their sites, or allow companies to do the same. It was able to see, for example, that many of the streaming companies were sending data to Amazon and Google's advertising businesses. Some of the streaming companies, including Netflix, say that they don't typically permit other companies to know what we watch. Some others in the analysis leave open the possibility that information of what we watch might be used for targeted ads or other purposes. So if you're watching some reality show or The Walking Dead or science fiction or whatever, that may actually be targeted for you. So if The Walking Dead comes around and basically has a conference, you're going to get advertised to. Now, data from streaming companies could also wind up basically with companies that compile tons of information, like things like what kind of brand of toothpaste you buy, what you do on your phone, all those kinds of things. If you didn't know, your Android and iPhone are tracked in those manners, basically by the integration of things like Facebook and Google software development kits into apps. They're known as SDKs. Now, Common Sense Media also said that some efforts to offer customers informed consent were overly complicated. For example, the organization said that Amazon asked people on a Fire streaming gadget to click through 25 different policies to use the device, plus 2 more if you wanted to use the Amazon Echo voice assistants, known as Alexa, with your Fire Stick. I've gotten in trouble for saying that word before, so I won't. Now, the organization said that Apple, which touts its consumer privacy principles, but it does not always deliver on that in its stated ideals, and I've done videos on that, of how they've data mined and all of that. They are not as bad as Facebook and Google, but they definitely are not innocent in that. They're saying they had stronger protections in their Apple TV Plus streaming video service and its TV connector called Apple TV. That's their gadget. But interestingly enough, and as the New York Times points out, and I quote, Apple helps fund a Common Sense Media News literacy program for schools and is among the companies that licenses the organization's rating and reviews. Common Sense Media told me, the author, that has no bearing on the privacy evaluations. Take that for what it's worth. Now, the problem that Common Sense Media highlighted is that Americans, with limited exceptions, simply cannot know what these companies are doing with all of the information that they're gathering on all of us. Mostly, we have to rely on legal documents that offer essentially an illusion of control and think through these hypothetical risks of what could go wrong with our personal information, as they are essentially scraping it from us from what we watch and what we do and giving it to other people. This is basically how Facebook and Google have made billions and billions and billions of dollars over the years. Now, the condition has contributed essentially to this deep-seated mistrust Americans have of tech companies and concerns about what happens over our personal data. Not that we're doing much about it. Companies and politicians know that Americans care about information privacy, but here we are. And I think this is actually a rather important topic to talk about, in the sense that we really don't understand that when we are walking around with our mobile phones and our devices, or we are connecting to our smart TVs and we are installing those apps, the smart TV knows, okay, they're paying for these various services, they're buying these various things. Oh, they like racing games, they like first-person shooter games, they like role-playing games. This is all information that is being gathered by these massive corporations to essentially monetize how you get sold to, so you will spend and consume more. And by virtue of that, we have seen massive data breaches of marketing databases. We've seen massive data breaches of users. Like Facebook has left passwords unencrypted. They've always played fast and loose. I've done video after video after video and podcast after podcast after podcast when it comes to them. So this is a huge, huge problem. But if you are paying for the service, if you are paying for Netflix or Hulu or any one of these, Disney Plus, HBO Max, take your pick, there's a million of them, there should be an expectation that they are not scraping that data and sending it out to Amazon for advertising, sending it to Google, sending it to Facebook, and they are. And you're paying for a service, and they are data mining you to monetize you even more. So that $10 a month or whatever that you are paying for Netflix, maybe that's worth $20 a month. And you're paying with the rest of that with your privacy. Are you okay with that? Do you know what's happening with that? Do you know where that's going beyond, let's say, advertising things that you may like but not necessarily need? You don't. They're going to a lot of different places. And I will leave you with this bit that recently happened in the state of New York. Insurance companies, life insurance companies, are able to go and look at your Facebook profile, scrape that information, and if they believe that you are lying in some way, shape, or form, can cancel your claim. That's an insurance company using the data that you are supplying to a free platform. Now combine that with going to data brokers and other places where they can grab this information and say, oh, this person is spending 8 hours a day, on Netflix, must be a couch potato, let's raise your insurance premiums. And maybe Netflix just happens to be on in one of your screens and you're working out 8 hours a day. They don't know that. But now they know your viewing habit, and now they can make an assumption. That is a real life problem that we have here in the United States today, and it's because we don't have good universal privacy laws. That's what we need. Please write your congressman or congresswoman or senator or heck, the president. Write somebody. Just write somebody in government. There you go. And that is your news of the day. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please stay private. Thanks, everyone.